Hey guys, Matt here. So today we are going to review a really cool, beefy, brutal knife. Before we get into the review though, I want to remind you guys if you could like and subscribe to keep up with the content on this channel. I promise I'll be posting more. I've been a little bit busy with some travel with my wife, but if you could like and subscribe, that would be much appreciated. Guys, what we are reviewing today is the Cold Steel 4 Max Scout. Now guys, this is a beefy, brutal blade, and I want to start out by thanking a Facebook friend of mine, Ben Dyson. We do some trading a lot on the Cold Steel Nation Facebook group. He is a really cool guy, and he always gives me the better end of the deal. So Ben, thanks so much for doing some trading with me and me ending up with this 4 Max Scout. Guys, so what we're going to talk about the specs, we're going to talk about what I like, what I dislike, and something unique about this blade. So, first of all, you're looking at a 4-inch blade. This is made of AUS 10 steel, AUS 10A. Great steel, big beefy blade. It is 4.8 millimeters thick. It is super thick. You are looking at Grivery handle scales with full steel liners, an aluminum backspacer on there as well. It is very grippy, and we'll talk about the ergonomics of it here in a minute. So those are the specs. That's what you're looking at. Let's get into what I like about this knife. First of all, look at this thing. This thing is enormous. It's not, incredibly huge lengthwise because it's a standard 4-inch blade, which is big for a folding knife, definitely. Cold Steel standards is kind of medium sized, but it is so beefy. You have the 4.8 millimeter thick blade, and also, you have that blade stock running down through the liner and through the backspacer. You have these Grivery handle scales, but the SR1 Lite, which is HCR, it has Grivery handle scales as well, or Griv X as Cold Steel calls it, but it does not have the full steel liners. This has the full steel liners. So I love how beefy, how insane this blade is, and most of you guys probably already know this, but the 4 Max Scout is a derivation of the 4 Max that Cold Steel came out. The 4 Max is probably, as far as I know, it's one of Cold Steel's, if not their most premium knife. I think it's their most premium knife. They're either American or Italian made. I believe they're made of 20 CV. It's a premium beefy knife. And so in 2019, could have been 2020, I can't remember which year, they came out with this in the catalog to give us kind of a budget option of this while still providing that beefy, intense blade. So that's another thing I like about it is you're spending $100 on this versus I don't know how much they're going for now. I've seen prices as high as $500 for those 4 Maxes. So, you're spending a lot less on this knife and still getting a quality knife and still getting that design, which I think is really cool. So that's another thing I like about it. Another thing I love about this is that blade. I love that drop point blade, guys. There is a ton of belly on that, plenty of straight edge, and that tip is nice and stout, guys. I mean, look at that tip. This is a beefy knife. It's not going to be for those fine tasks. I have right here, guys, a CRKT Jumbones, and guys, this is a big knife as well. It's if you compare them, this is even longer than the 4 Max Scout. It's much lighter, but you can see how much different the tip is compared to this one. I mean, it's just it's a different style knife. It's 4 different things. This knife is a beefy knife meant to handle just about anything you could throw at it. So I love this blade. I love that drop point design. I think it's great looking, and also it's incredibly functional for what you're meant to use this knife for. Another thing I love about this is the handle design. Guys, you guys know I have really chunky hands. I don't have overly long hands, but I have very chunky hands, so I have to have a lot of grip surface to be able to fit my entire hand. This is one of the most comfortable knife handles I have ever held. I am not lying. This is so incredibly comfortable. It's rounded just enough, but it's not so rounded to where it's slick. The texturing on that Griv X is perfect. I mean, it is perfect. It's not too aggressive to where it feels like sandpaper, but it is just grippy enough to where it holds that in your hand. The jimping is these giant 3 divots, and it actually works really well because your thumb fat digs right into that. This handle is incredible, guys. It is so comfortable in my hand. It feels amazing. I cannot think of a knife off the top of my head that has a handle this comfortable. Additionally, they give you this finger choil right here. So if you want to do fine work, you can almost get your whole thumb up here and do just about as fine work as you would want to. So I think that's awesome. I love the handle on this. It is fantastic. It is perfectly designed, in my opinion. I believe this is a Demco design. It has Demco screaming all over it with its size and everything like that. So I think that the handle design is amazing. Another thing I really like is that they went with AUS 10A and not 8CR. Guys, I don't hate 8CR. I think it is a good budget steel, but AUS 10A is going to have better edge holding capabilities. As far as I know, it's going to have better rust resistance. So I think that AUS 10A for a knife around $100, people are like, that's a little bit pricey. Well, you got to think about, it's not just about, it's not just about when, sorry, someone just drove past on a bicycle and it got me laughing. It's not just about the materials themselves. It is about the design and what you're getting design-wise. So I think that this is a very adequately designed knife. The materials they put in were great, and price point wise, I think it is worth it, even though it is a little pricey for AUS 10A. You have to think about the design you are getting. So I love the blade, I love the handle, I love the just the fact that this thing is what it is, how beefy it is, how comfortable it is. I love those things about it. Now let's get into what I don't like. Okay, so you guys know I've talked about this a lot, and I should have brought the Cold Steel Code 4 out for this as well. Look how much blade is sticking out from that handle, guys. I know this is an incredibly wide blade. I mean, you look at that is a very, very wide blade. It's probably 1.5 inches wide. So I get that that's going to happen, and that's kind of the nature of the beast. But guys, that just doesn't look handsome, in my opinion. If you guys can kind of understand what I'm saying, when you have this thing folded up and you're looking at it, most of the blade is popping out of the handle. And to me, that's just, I don't love that. You guys know I've had the same issues with the Cold Steel Code 4, the spear point version. A lot of it pops out of the handle, and I just think that doesn't look as nice as, this is obviously, again, it's a different design, but, you see this CRKT Jumbones. I mean, the blade disappears in the handle. I'm not expecting that from a knife like this because they're designed completely differently. This is a big gentleman's knife. This is a beefy outdoors tactical do whatever knife. So is it the end of the world? No, it's just an aesthetic thing. If they could bring that into the handle a little bit, I'm sure there's stuff impeding that, and that's why it's designed this way. But just bringing that into the handle a little bit, slimming that out, I think would be fantastic. It would make the knife look even better, just from an aesthetic standpoint. So that is something I don't love, about this knife. Another thing I don't love, and I'm not going to say it's actually, this is more of a neutral talking point, but it ushers itself over into the negative, and I'll kind of tell you why. So the pocket clip, I think the pocket clip is actually really, really well designed. It is an incredibly sturdy pocket clip. Just like everything on this knife, it is beefy, it is brutal, and it is a well-designed pocket clip. But when you're talking about a pocket clip this stiff and this strong over material that is not insanely grippy, but, it's still going to shred your pocket. And I think that's what I don't love about it. So I think, there could be something done to make this pocket clip a little bit less stiff. It's a brutal pocket clip, and make it have a little bit more give so that when it's coming out of the pocket, it isn't so stiff. The material beneath it, I think, is actually not bad. It's not as bad as some of the G10 that they've done. But just having this thick of a pocket clip, this stout of a pocket clip under that material, even though it's not bad, it makes it a little bit difficult to work with. And, I took a flathead screwdriver and lifted that up a tad bit to loosen up the pocket clip, and honestly, it carries perfectly, guys. That's it. That's where the negatives end. I don't love how much that blade sticks out from the handle, as I've talked about in other cold steel knives, and I don't love that the pocket clip is just a tiny bit too stiff for me. Just a tiny bit. It's close to being perfect, guys, but it is just a tiny bit too stiff for me. That's where the negatives end. What is unique about this? Look at it. Look at this. Look at this knife, guys. I mean, I don't think I've owned, I can honestly say 100% I have not owned a knife, a folding knife, that is this strong, this capable, and I just honestly do not worry a thing about abusing this knife and just doing whatever, batoning, chopping. Obviously it's gonna provide or hit the liner a lot, or hit the back lock a lot, so I wouldn't recommend chopping much with your folding knife, obviously. But this knife, if you think about the brutal tests that people put their folding knives through, this is the knife that's going to take it. If other knives fail, if those liner locks, if those frame locks, if the even other back locks, if they fail, this is going to be the knife that takes that, because of how brutal, how beastly, even more tough and brutal than the SR1, the SR1 Lite. It's going to handle things that even that knife can't handle. This and probably the AD10. I haven't got my hands on one of those. I look forward to getting one. One more positive thing that I want to talk about too is, this knife, you look at it and you think it's going to be awkward. You think it's going to be clunky. You think you're going to have to, move your wrist a ton to get it out of the, to deploy the blade. Guys, this knife is really smooth, even for a backlock, even for how beefy this thing is. I mean, I'm not going to do, I'm going to do this kind of at this angle so it doesn't, whack my finger, but this blade just drops super smoothly. They have done something, Cold Steel, I think, has done a fantastic job at polishing their engagements, at making their folding knives that are backlocks, that are insanely strong backlocks, to become pretty smooth backlocks, unlike a lot of the backlocks I deal with. I mean, this is just as, if not as smooth as, the Spyderco, Enduras, anything like that. So I love how smooth this knife is. I just wanted to add that last point before we ended. So would I recommend this? Guys, I can't recommend this enough. You're looking at about $100 for this knife, and I think it is worth every penny. If you want a knife, and I say this about a lot of knives, so a lot of Cold Steels, in some Benchmades, because Benchmades are really strong knives with that axis lock and their warranty. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, Cold Steel's warranty, every time I've sent something in, they've been nothing but awesome. With helping me out and getting things taken care of. But if you want a knife beyond any other knife I've ever talked about this, or probably will ever talk about on this channel, that you never have to worry a single thing about it breaking, about it not holding up to the tests you want to throw at it, this is going to be the knife. This or the standard 4max. If you want the premium materials and want to shell out the hundreds of extra dollars, go for it. I say that's awesome. But if you want something for $100 that will last you your entire life and can replace probably a lot of fixed blades in its strength and its stoutness, the Cold Steel 4max Scout is a great option. Guys, thanks so much for watching the review. Got lots of knives coming up for review. You saw the CRKT Jump Bones. This is coming up for review. I got the Cold Steel Fin Wolf coming up for review. Lots of different knives. Let me know if there's a specific knife you would like to see reviewed. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.